thing.
Well, so your parents, they recognized this and they encouraged that? They weren't saying, no, you're going to be a lawyer?
Well, that's the thing. Well, first of all, I knew that they knew that I wasn't going to be a lawyer, so that was easy for them not to press that. But, one of the great lessons I learned from that is, if you can, it sure is a good thing to listen closely to your kids and try to exploit the talents or the passions that they have. I mean, my mother was on top of that from when I was 3 years old. I mean, she saw this interest in playing, just like my sister with the languages. She saw that very, very early, and so that's what Jill and I try to do with our daughters is, focus in on what they're good at and what they like and try to help them develop it.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I mean, you have 3 daughters. I have 6 daughters. So I was outnumbered totally.
Holy cow, man!
I had to get a male dog just to have someone to talk with or something. What do you think?
Unbelievable.
I know. What was your biggest break? I mean, you were incrementally doing so many different things and exploring different areas of showbiz. But what was that one thing that took you to the next level?
Well, in terms of career, it was definitely the movie When Harry Met Sally, because I had been making records and performing and doing my thing, and I was pretty young. I mean, I was only about 20 years old at the time, but Rob Reiner, who directed that movie, gave me a chance to sing some songs and to play some piano in the soundtrack. And when that soundtrack came out, my life changed completely, and so that I would have to point to that as definitely being the biggest career break I had.
I would have thought so too. I mean, you're right. I mean, you did a lot of the standards. They were standard songs, but it's the way you did them, and it really made the movie.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I think the movie would have been fine without me, but I'm sure I'm glad I had the chance. Let's put it that way.
You have really done it all, though. I mean, singing, songwriting, movies, TV, Broadway. I think it's cool that you're an inventor as well, in a way, because you invented this thing to digitize music for orchestras and things.
Well, this was back in the late 90s, and I was looking for a way to have the music for my band displayed on a screen, because this was, before iPads and all that. All they had were those big bubble-colored iMacs, and I got about 20 of those and put them on the stage and developed the software that would allow the musicians to read the music from a screen, and instead of turning pages, they could operate it with their foot, and the technology was pretty primitive, but now it's gotten to the point where it's kind of the way to do it. So we've been using the system for a long time, and it's just, it's like necessity comes from, invention is born from necessity, and this was something I needed and just made it happen.
Yeah, they're really cool. But with all the stuff you've done, is there one thing that floats your boat the most?
You mean
career-wise? Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to say, only because if I'm on a movie set, I'm obsessed with that. If I'm on Broadway, like when you're on a Broadway stage and you're the leading man in a big Broadway show, that is an intense feeling.
What a rush.
It feels like it's a rush. It's really a rush. 8 times a week, and or when I'm in the recording studio. But I think. It's really hard to say, but if I had to pick, it would probably be what you saw at the Meyer Gardens, is live performing, because you're kind of going without a safety net. I don't really plan the shows. You just go out and play and work a relationship with the audience, and then by the end of this 2 hours, you're in a place that you didn't know before. You've got this cool thing going. So it would probably be live performing.
I would think so. That's the greatest rush, and then you just connect with your audience and you just feed off each other so much.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
In case you didn't know, I'm talking to Harry Connick Jr. And is there something you haven't done that you want to do?
I'd like to. I'd like to direct a film. I'd like to direct Broadway. I have a bunch of ideas about things I'd like to do, because all of the things I do right now are definitely related. Whether I'm acting or playing the piano or singing, they're all kind of come from the same place. And as I grow older, I see philosophically some things I'd like to try as a director, where you could have a whole, it's like making an album or conducting an orchestra where the whole thing is kind of coming out of your head and you work with other people and collaborate and see a vision through.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do that at some point.
Are you thinking of writing your own show? I mean, you did a one-man show on Broadway, but are you thinking you mean writing a show?
Well, I just actually did that. I wrote and directed something for Broadway. It was based on my last album, and we were about to go on the road for it, but with COVID, we got canceled. So, at some point, we'll get that back out there. But I have done that, and I will continue to do more of that because that's just a great thrill too.
Yeah, really. Your wife Jill has gone through some pretty tough health issues. How's she doing now?
Oh, thanks for asking. She's doing fine. She's about 7.5 years cancer free. She had breast cancer, and she's been a real trooper. I mean, we all know someone who has suffered from this horrible disease, and Jill is my wife, and she's gone through it. My mother died from cancer, so it's a tough thing to go through, and she was my hero before, but just seeing how she handled that and how she was able to, be a mom and be a wife, through that time was absolutely amazing. So she's doing great, man.
So glad. What's your secret? I mean, you and Jill are best buddies, best friends, and you've got these great daughters, and they're active and involved. And I mean, do people ask you for advice, Harry? How'd you do all this and pull it all together?
Well, I guess every once in a while people will ask me, but I'm not the one to give advice. I just follow, the lead that my parents gave me. My family is the most important thing to me. My faith, my friends, and I just try to. I love my wife. I married my best friend, so I got lucky there, and we have these amazing daughters, as you know, and I just take it a day at a time. That's all you can do.
You're just blessed. The Stars Still Shine. That's the new song, and it's available for download, all digital platforms, so anybody can get it. And as Harry said, it benefits the Ellis Marcellus Center for Music in New Orleans. It's a beautiful song. Harry, thank you so much. It's been an extreme pleasure to get a chance to talk with you, and I hope we see you back in Michigan real soon.
Thanks, Andy.